welcome to the last session of the day. We will talk about Teams and Yammer, and I like to talk about the dream team in your organization, because if you are using both tools, then it gets pretty cool. So often when I talk about the modern workplace, people ask me, I have Microsoft Teams and I think that's enough, or should I choose another tool also? And I will explain you how can we work together with both tools, what are the different purposes, and so on. So before I start, because we had it here in the in the introduction, maybe not all of you know me. So my name is Nicole Enders. I'm from far away in Germany, but nowadays there's nowhere which is too far, because most of the events are virtually at the moment. I'm an MVP for Office Apps and Services, and here in Germany I'm working as a managing consultant for Modern Workplace, and I have some focus topics. So I help my customers to build a modern workplace. I'm doing a lot of discussions about how can you collaborate with other people and other people. This can be your team, this can be a project team, your customer, your partners, and so on. And if you are talking about collaboration, then you also have a lot of business processes. And I'm a fan of the Power Platform, to be honest. So I like this whole business applications area. And my newest favorite topic is mixed reality. So I had the chance to check the HoloLens 2, and I'm doing a lot of events in Altspace VR. So this whole area with Microsoft Mesh and so on, I love this, and I think we will see something there in the other M365 applications in the future. This will be a revolution for the modern workplace. If you want to stay in contact with me, then you can find my own blog here, and you find me also on Twitter and LinkedIn. These books here, they only show my focus topics with SharePoint, M365, and Teams, but they are all in German, so I'm really sorry. But I love these pictures right there, so I'm sorry. Yeah, and if we talk about the modern workplace, because for me it's not only a discussion about Microsoft Teams and Yammer. For me it's a discussion how to build a modern workplace and how to improve collaboration and the communication in your company. And if you have an Office 365 license and you go to the Office portal, then you may see such a similar view. And at the beginning, you would say, oh my God, what's about Office 365 or Microsoft 365? Why do I have so many tools? And I'm not sure if there's anybody of you who's as one of my customers, because one of my customers, he said, I searched that Office 365, this Office. So she was thinking about PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and maybe Outlook, but she was not thinking about all these tools here. And then I said to her, yeah, don't be afraid. You don't need to use all these tools at once. So maybe you will start with one or two tools, and then later on you will see that you have other use cases and you will need a third or fourth tool. You will see how it evolves during the next months. Yeah, and that's why I want to tell you, choose appropriate tools for your collaboration. So for me, for example, if I'm thinking about my own evolution of collaboration tools, then working together on a document with my colleagues is one of my most important use cases ever. So if I think 10 years or a little bit more back, then working together on a document was quite hard. So I started writing my document and I stored it on my PC. And there was always the situation that I needed some information from one or more colleagues. And what did I need to do then? I used this document, I wrote an email, and I added this document as an email attachment. And then my colleagues saved this document version because this was now their own copy, and they added something, or maybe they changed something, and maybe one colleague had the same situation that he needed more information from one of the other colleagues. And then at the end, I got 5 versions or more back. And I had all the work to consolidate these documents. And I had to open the first document, the next one, and I had to check what is the difference. And then I had to add this to my document. So it was really boring. And for me, working together on a document is something completely different as the situation. So I was really happy as I had SharePoint, because with SharePoint I had a central document location and I wrote an email to my colleagues, but only with a link to a document. And everybody could open this document and we could work together at the same time. So maybe one person was writing chapter 1, I was writing chapter 2. And then we said, okay, we need to have a look. And without doing anything, I could see the changes immediately. And that was really, really cool. So changed my life. And today, as I'm thinking about that, you don't only work together on a document, you have also a discussion about different content elements in your document. Then a chat, so exchange of information in an ad hoc way, is really important. And that's possible, for example, with Microsoft Teams. Spreading company-wide information. I'm not sure if I would do this with Teams because we have an intranet based on SharePoint. So if somebody wants to tell everybody in the company something, then it depends if he's working for HR or for if he's the assistant of our managing director and so, because then they would create official articles in our intranet. But otherwise, if you want to talk with other people in our company for a special topic, then you could use our corporate network. And our corporate network, this is be done by Yammer. So as you see, exchanging information has different aspects and it depends on your requirements regarding the layout of your information or the way how you want to exchange information if you are going with Teams, SharePoint, or Yammer. If we are talking about some project relevant stuff, then managing tasks can be really helpful. So this would be something like Planner. And sharing knowledge, that can be so many different things. So if you want to share knowledge, I like the idea of creating short videos and store them in Microsoft Stream. In other cases, people would say, I want to check if somebody knows some kind of a special topic, then Microsoft Forms with the quiz function can be really helpful. And otherwise, writing the old classic documentation. This means I have documents, and then we will talk again about SharePoint or maybe about OneDrive if I store these documents in my own personal folder. And as I said, if we talk about collaboration, then this also is relevant to our business processes. The whole Power Platform starting with Power Automate and Power Apps is also relevant. Today, our focus is more on the 3 bullet points with exchanging information, and I also told a little bit about this. So if I tell you what's going on in our company, we had the situation that we got a lot of new employees in the past three years, I would say. We had to think about how can we build some kind of a platform to connect everybody, to exchange information. And as we were working with SharePoint for a long time, we said, okay, our intranet can be based on SharePoint Online, but something would be missing there. And we needed a section where we could have a talk with the people. So maybe you would have a special workspace for each department, but this would be more a presentation of the department. So you would see what's going on, who is responsible for which aspect in this department. But if you want to have a chat with the employees of this department, then you would need something else. And this was where we introduced Yammer. But we didn't ever talk about Yammer and SharePoint as tool names. We, as a technical person, we knew about these two tools, but we were talking about our social intranet, and we had some kind of a contest. So we asked the employees, how should we name our social intranet? And as we said, our main purpose was connecting people. The name of our intranet is Connect. And the section where we are using Yammer is our talk section in every workspace. Yeah, and then we introduced our Connect, and we were using this for a few months. And then you all know Microsoft Teams showed up. And at the beginning, we didn't know what to do with this tool. So it was really new. And we said, okay, we as the department with the Microsoft 365 knowledge, we will check out what's going on with this new tool. Is this something similar to Skype for Business, or does it something different? We didn't know. Yeah, and then we said, okay, I will create a team for my developer team, because I was leading a developer team at this time. And yeah, we started with a very simple structure, and after a few months we saw, okay, we created new channels, we were working on this stuff, we got some new ideas, and I will show you what's going on with the different use cases we found out for Microsoft Teams. Because then we said, yeah, we won't delete the Yammer usage. We won't get rid of this. So we need to find a difference between these two tools, because as an employee, if I have to think too much about where should I post which information, then maybe I won't use anything. Yeah, and we have some basic rules. I'm pretty sure that you have to adjust them to your environment, but maybe this helps you a little bit. So Yammer and Teams, as we said. So starting with Teams, what is the main purpose? If I think about Microsoft Teams, then I would definitely say it's the collaboration tool in Microsoft 365. So if you want to work together in a project team or in an organizational unit, so you are working very close to each other, you're talking about tasks, about documents, and you want to exchange information in a real fast way, but you have this closed group of people, then Microsoft Teams is the best idea. And for me, it's my central entry point. So in the past, so before Microsoft Teams was there, Outlook was the first application I started every morning because I got my emails from customers, but also from my colleagues. And today, Microsoft Teams is my first application because I got rid of a lot of emails. So my internal communication is not 100%, but I would say 95% based on Teams chats, one-to-one, group chats, or in a team room. And also my customers are now using Microsoft Teams, and it only depends if I'm going to their tenant or to my. You will see this in a screenshot in a few seconds. What's going on there. And I also love the options that we can integrate other services in our team room. So for example, if I want to do task management, then I can add the planner app. If I already have a SharePoint website with some information, then I can integrate the different SharePoint lists or document libraries or a special page to my team room. And it's not only about the chat or the document management in a team room. I have a communication completely as I need them to be. So if I have a question to a person, I can start a video or an audio call directly from a command bar at the top. And this was not such a topic the last few months, but I love traveling. And 2 years ago, I was on a lot of events at different places of the world, and I was using the mobile app for Microsoft Teams quite often. So I was sitting at the airport waiting for the boarding. I had the chance to join a daily stand-up meeting with my team or to see that somebody wrote me a message and I could answer them. So I stayed in touch with my team even if I wasn't there in person. Here you can see my team. So this was the CWS developer team, was my first team I created. And as you can see, we got a lot of different channels there. And here, for example, the Kona team, that was our org-wide team we created because we wanted to check out if we could use this org-wide team as a replacement for our social intranet, so for the SharePoint part. But at the time, as we tried this, it was not the right thing for us. So that was only a check if we could do this. As you can see here, we also created a channel for daily stand-up, and I will explain it a little bit later, what we did there. Also, you can see unread messages, that for sure. I'm pretty sure you know about this, and also about the notifications. But I recognize that not everybody knows this. In the search and command bar, you always see that there's a search bar, but that you can start with a slash, and then you get a list of available commands to switch your present status, or to go to a different channel, or to start a call or a chat. That's pretty cool. So when I'm in a meeting and this meeting is taking longer, then I can use this command bar and I write the person of the next meeting that I need 5 minutes more or so, or I don't want to leave my special chat and I want to call somebody, then I can use this command bar also. And as I was talking about, that we can collaborate with customers or partners, for example, if you are invited to the tenant of your customer, for example, then you will get a drop down and you can switch between the different tenants. So when I start a new project, for example, I ask my customers if they want to create a team room in their tenant, or if I should create a team room in my tenant. And it depends on who wants to own the data. So the data belongs to one tenant. And when I create the team in my tenant, then it's quite easy for me because the team will show up in the list of all of my teams. And I will see the notifications immediately. If I have the team in the tenant of my customer, then I need to switch the tenant via the dropdown, and I get the notifications not directly. So in most of the cases, I receive an email that somebody wants to or tries to reach me, and then I switch the tenant manually and have a look what's going on in the different team. So it's working a little bit different, but it's so much better than in the past with writing emails and sending Excel files to one person and to the other. So as you can see, working together in a very close way, that's going on in Microsoft Teams. So next one, look to Yammer. And Yammer has a lot of functions which are quite similar to Teams. So if you look on Yammer and you see what are the different options when you write a new post, then you would say, oh yeah, that's nice. So I can praise somebody, I can create a short survey, I can format my message a little bit. So is this the same as in a team chat? And I have groups there. The purpose is a little bit different. So if you think about Yammer, for me, it's creating a corporate network. So yes, you have these groups, and nowadays they're called communities. And you can have a discussion on different topics. Yes, you have the mini polls and the praise function, but it's more about topics and not about these groups who work together on a special task, for example. So what's a corporate network? Corporate network means that you can find colleagues with similar interests, that you can find topics, and that you can follow them. So sharing and finding knowledge is the main purpose, and the knowledge is separated by groups, aka communities, and the knowledge is divided into different topics. So we could talk about hashtags, for example, if we are looking to social media, for example. And in some cases, when you talk about Yammer, then somebody will say that's a Facebook of the company, because this comparison comes very close to the purpose. So you can tell what you are good in. So you can say, I'm an expert for this special topic. I create a new community and I organize myself. And it's really open-minded in this network. So if you compare this, then you would say, maybe Microsoft Teams, I would prefer to create private teams. And in Yammer, I would create public, means open, communities. That's the idea. And if you have a short look on Yammer, then you see that you have a list of your communities on the left side. In the middle, you will see the posts of the selected community, or if you're looking on the home feed, then you would see the last post from all of your communities you joined. And on the right side, which is empty here at the moment, you would see some recommendations for communities you could join. You have also notifications for shared and mentions, but there's not so much more at the moment. But maybe you don't need this. We will see. So some best practices. And we will start again with Microsoft Teams. What's going on there? And Microsoft Teams best practices is, as I mentioned a little bit, collaboration in a team. And this can also be collaboration in a distributed team. So for example, my developer team was a distributed team. So we were working at different locations. And this made it quite easy for us last year, as everybody had to go into his own home office because we were using Microsoft Teams many months before. So we had our discussions there. And I was using the general channel for announcements. So I said, okay, we have channels for our different topics. And the general channel, that's my channel as a team lead. And I will post announcements about organizational changes, about some general stuff, and so on. We also talked about working together on shared documents because nobody stored his documents on his own PC. They were all stored in the team. And we had also external team members. So we were working together with a partner, and we had two persons there who were integrated in our developer team. And we said, okay, most of the information is available to everybody because the two people are working with us as a team, but they may be some information which we need to separate. That was our first use case for a private channel, for example. We are using a group calendar because there were some special meetings, as our daily stand-up meeting, for example. And I love the way to integrate other tools. So, for example, we were working with Jira, and we said, okay, we want to integrate this. Yeah, and then, as I said, we had a few meetings. So we had our daily stand-up meeting, and we said, okay, yes, where should I write my update if I cannot join the meeting? So first it was a general channel, and then we said we create a different channel for this because we don't want to mess up the channels. And even if we all were in the same room, we recorded our meetings and our workshops because some kind of knowledge management. So somebody explained something in a workshop, and then we recorded this meeting. And maybe a few months ago, I only knew that we talked about this, but I didn't know what we decided or what was the right solution for a special problem. So then I could have a check there, and with a transcription on, it was quite easy to find the right spot there.
Nicole, you have a couple of questions and comments in the chat. I just want to point them out to you. Just FYI about Yammer.
Yeah, one moment. I have a look. So, oh my God, I have to look where it starts. So
I can read them to you. So Kent is asking, how are your users behaving in Yammer? Has there been a need to report or close corporate toxic posts? Basically, people aren't being grown-ups, it sounds like.
in our Yammer network, everybody's behaving, I would say, nicely. So I think it depends a little bit that you have some kind of a communication strategy, or that you have some rules. And we had some rules for the real life, so we were using them now for the Yammer network too. But I remember that during the introduction of Yammer, we had to talk with our managing director, and she was a little bit afraid what would go on if somebody doesn't behave in the way we wanted to do this. And we said, okay, we have so many employees out there, And we think if somebody writes something bad, then the others will answer in the way. And if it doesn't work, then we would have our managers, but we didn't have the situation that somebody needed a talk with his manager about this because the others did this task.
Yeah, my previous life was human resources, and I had to fire people because they didn't play well with others. And I just think there's going to be bad apples no matter what. You can't police them all, but shutting everybody up so that one person isn't loud, not a good idea. But so Dana had a comment about she posted a Yammer acceptance usage guide, acceptable usage guide that mirrors language and other policies regarding professional, respectful language and communication. I think the expectations are clear. We are still building our user base. We don't anticipate problems. So coming from the HR person, I'd have to agree, having it written down and people acknowledging it, just like a technology use is a really good idea to cover the organization. But unfortunately, that people are people, which is why I'm not in HR anymore. So that's my 2 cents, but cool. Do you have a usage guide or anything like that, Nicole?
We didn't implement a usage guide, but I know that we had one customer or where the communication department did a lot of work there. And they had rules for different things, but that was a PowerPoint presentation, and there was so many slides, and I said, oh my God, if you need this and I need to read all this stuff and think about this every time, that would be really hard. So I think you need a mix or something between. Too many rules is not so good. Less views is not rules is not so good. And it depends on the people.
Yeah, and the culture of the organization, I think too. Sometimes I've been in very toxic organizations and very open and uplifting organizations, and yeah, you can tell when you walk in the door almost. But cool, thank you. I'm enjoying your content, by the way. Cool.
Okay. Okay, then I think I proceed here with the channels. So what's really cool on Teams that you can create some kind of substructure, and we did this. As I mentioned, we started with only the one channel called General, and then we recognized we need more channels because it was too hard for us to see what's going on in one channel with different topics. So we had one channel for organizational aspects. And yeah, I know today it's not such a topic, but as we were using Teams at the beginning, it was really important that we talked about when a person will be in the home office. Nowadays, I would say it's the opposite. So we would write if somebody is in the office. But there it was important because otherwise you would come into the office and the other person you want to meet isn't there. So we had this special channel. I had a channel for strategy and business development, and that was a channel where I invited my manager. So we had a talk there about different topics, and it was in my team, but the team members and even these 2 external people didn't have access to. And we had a discussion about when do we create a new team? Do we create a team for every new project, or do we use channels instead of? And we decided if you have a small project and only the members of our organizational team are team members of this project, then you could create a small project channel. And we had some kind of a prefix. So we had some brackets and then a P that you know that this was a project. But if it's too big and you would need multiple channels for your project, or if one other person as our organizational team would have, then you create a new team. And private channels, I know that was one of the most asked features, and as it was there, and you saw, okay, you have some limitations and it's working in a different way. And we said, okay, private channels are only for a few use cases. So think about, you have invited external people and you want to have some section where you can have an internal talk, then you can create a private channel, or you could create a second team, and then you need a good naming convention that you always know this is the private team, this is the public team. Yeah, and if you see all of this, then there are some open questions while using Teams. So how can you connect with other teams? So how do I know about other teams? How can I find other employees with the same interest? This is not so easy with Microsoft Teams, and Yammer can be a good answer for this. So best practices for Yammer is not collaborating in a team, it's collaborating and knowledge management in your company. So you are on another level with your collaboration. And that's why you have some similar features there. So you have the option to start discussions. You can do announcements, and you have something like groups. So here it's called communities, and in Teams it's called teams, but it's always a group of people. So here you can do the same, but it's more about topics. So you have this different discussions about topics, and you are not working for a special target or so as you would do this in Teams. And you can decide if you create public or private groups. You could decide this in Teams too, but as a best practice, or maybe as recognizing in the practice, I see private teams and I see public Yammer communities. So that is a difference in the practical usage. And if you are here going with Yammer, then you can have an interaction with other people. So as I talked about, the mini polls and the praise function. But what's really important is the follow function for your colleagues. So I can create my personal network. I can decide if I'm interested in this community and this community. And yes, I do have limitations, but maybe I have different topics in my daily business. So I will work with Microsoft Teams for some projects or so, and then I will use my corporate network in Yammer. And it doesn't matter that there's no option to create a substructure in my community, because I don't need to do this. And yes, there's no option to start a meeting or to record it in a group, except of live events. So in Microsoft Teams, I could say, okay, I need an ad hoc meeting or a schedule meeting and post it into a Teams channel. I cannot do this in Yammer on the same way. So doesn't matter. Not really, because I can schedule my meeting via Outlook if I need someone in my community, but maybe I wouldn't do such a meeting. Because if I would have a meeting and I would work on tasks and I need documents and so on, then maybe Teams is a better option. And I don't need to integrate other tools like Jira or so, because it's more communicating with each other as I would do this on other social media. And if we now see both of this here on the slide, so we have a real comparison and we are coming back to the use cases from the beginning, then we see that they are both pretty powerful. So working together on document, you cannot compare them really, because it's SharePoint behind both of them. So they can do this really, really good. Exchanging information with each other in an ad hoc way is much better in Teams, because in Yammer, yeah, you have a private chat, so a one-to-one chat if you want. But in Microsoft Teams, you have the option between chat, the group chat, the audio and video call, scheduling a meeting. So it's much more easier. Spreading company-wide information is an option in Teams with the org-wide team. In Yammer, you have the option to go with the communities or with the old company feed. That would be also an option. So that's much easier, because in Teams you would have to create this org-wide team, and this can only be created by an administrator. In Yammer, you have this old company feed all the time. So right from the beginning. Building a corporate network and then even building external networks, that would be the same, is better in Yammer, because that's the main purpose. And task management got a little bit more here on the team side, because you can use Planner in both options, but in Teams, you also have the option to integrate other tools, as I talked about Jira, for example. And that's why you see the primary purpose. So the primary purpose for Microsoft Teams is the collaboration on a deeper team level. So if you're working really close to each other, and Yammer is a company network and is in knowledge management on a company level. And I don't know if you were as excited as I was as I saw the introduction of Microsoft Viva, because Microsoft Viva is now the way where we connect Microsoft Teams with Yammer. And as I talk about friends, because these are all the other services. And this is the part with Microsoft Viva Connections. So how can you connect your colleagues and your managers with each other? And for me, this is the solution for so many different things, because yes, I'm using Microsoft Teams the whole day, and it's my first application I start every morning. But wouldn't it be great if I don't need to leave Microsoft Teams for all the other stuff? And as I said, I don't want to talk about tools anymore. So I have my daily business tool, and I open this. Yes, I see my chats and I see my team rooms, but I can also connect the newest updates of my intranet. So when HR posted something, or my managing director, I would see this. And if I am looking for an expert of, I talked about mixed reality is my newest favorite topic. I need an expert in mixed reality. Then would it be great if I could use this tool and find the right person, and then write a message, and this person can answer my questions? And that's about connections. So connections will integrate Yammer and even SharePoint so much more, so that from a user's perspective, it doesn't matter that these are different tools, because I only need to know I set up Teams so it starts automatically when I started my PC, and then I can access all this stuff. And if you are now thinking about how you can introduce this, then we were talking about if you have some rules or guidelines. For me, it's thinking about how can you develop an employee-focused communication strategy. And for me, it's first of all, tools can help, but there's no guarantee that they solve a communication problem. So if you have some communication problems, if people are bullying each other, or if there's, sure, you were talking about there are some toxic people or groups there, then you wouldn't solve this with Teams and Yammer. But if you don't have these problems, or if you have solutions for this, then I have some kind of a checklist for you. So first of all, even if you think that you know what the people want, ask the employees, what they need in their daily work and what they're still missing today. And you will be surprised what you will learn during these interviews. And if you have this information, then think about some rules, and they should clear and easy to understand. Because if they are too complicated, then nobody would know where he should post something. And for example, my rule, if you're thinking about Teams and Yammer, would be use Teams for the project work, for example, and maybe for your department or your team you're working in. And for everything where you want to support knowledge management in your company. So, for example, some communities for special topics, or if you want to have an open chat as a managing director, then use Yammer. So make it as open as possible. And as an employee, I would check the corporate network in Yammer minimum once a day. And in Teams, I would work most of the time, so I don't really to have a schedule because I get most of the notifications there. But you cannot be in this both tools whole the day. So we have some rules here, and then communicate these rules in a transparent way. Explain the purpose, and last but not least, review your rules and the use tools regularly. So they may change over the years. Remember, as we introduced Yammer and SharePoint in our company, and then Teams showed up, you need to review this, and then you get more feedback of your employees and can work together with them on adjusted rules. So it's some kind of a circle. So, and I think that was it. Before I ask for more questions, I will go to the last slides that they are here. So please keep in mind the donation for the Children First Fund. And many thanks to our sponsors and even to the organizers and all the moderators, the volunteers. There's so many people who are helping that we have a successful event, but especially the sponsors help us that we can have these events to share our knowledge and to talk about the stuff we like. And if there's something we can improve, please fill out the survey. So we are interested in what we are doing good, what we can improve. So the next event will be even better as this is. Thank you very much. Then again, the question. Do we have some open questions left?
There were some comments about Yammer notifications. I think Kent was also helping in that, but do you have any advice for people that maybe they're either getting overwhelmed by the Yammer notifications or how to turn them on so they can see them to begin with?
If you are using the Yammer app in Teams, then you get the notifications, and I think that's a personal issue because some people like to get all the notifications, and they're doing that as some kind of a checklist. I, for example, I had a lot of days in the past weeks where I had one meeting after the other, and then I got so many notifications in Teams and in Yammer, so that I said, okay, I'm not sure if I really read everything, so maybe I have to adjust my notifications that I only get the most important stuff. I think it really depends. You have the option to modify the notifications, and there's no real rule for which fits for everybody.
I agree with you. I don't like getting bombarded like group text. It's like group text to me. I don't need to see. I just want to like the daily digest. But we were kind of chatting about the connector that you can add into Teams, where it will actually screen out the content in Yammer from a specific community and be able to say, I only want to see a daily digest of it, or I want to see every time something's posted with this keyword or from this person. So I think, that's a big one, being able to personalize that.
Yeah, it's even in Teams when you can check that you get an email every time when you got a message, or once a day, or whatever. And I have a few colleagues who say, okay, I need this as an email for each message I've got. I said, oh no, if I would go with this option, then I could get emails back, because that's the same for me.
I know. I'm like, I'm really, really good at Outlook. I know how to manage Outlook. I've been doing it forever. And so trying to figure out how to translate that to Teams and conversations has been definitely a challenge. But Kent is thanking you for joining us all the way from Germany. How late is it there for you? Is it, I want to guess, after midnight your time?
Yeah, it's nearly 1 a.m. now.